Hi guys, welcome to Mouthful Games, and in this video I'm going to talk a little bit more about GUI fades. This is going to be the last video about the fades using GUI. I'm not going to go too much in detail about how I've made them. I'm going to show you 3 fades, and hopefully this will give you some sort of basis of coming up with your own ideas, etc., how to use GUI layer. Okay, so I'm going to show you fade number 1. Okay, so what actually is happening here, you see 2 rectangles. The one is drawing itself, one is the screen wide and drawing itself from the top and slowly descending, and the other one just draw itself from left to right in front of it. Okay, right, I'll show you the second one. The second one is kind of inspired by Super Mario Bros. 3. So fade like that. And the last one is the fade I've seen in Shovel Knight. So it's like the stripy fade. And there you go. I think in a Shovel Knight the rectangles kind of expanded from bottom to top rather than from top to bottom. But you can change that quite easily if you'd want to. Okay, so let's show you how I created them. Right, let's go into fade 1. The fade 1's quite simple. Create event. I'm setting the GUI size to be the same width and height as my camera. I'm declaring 2 variables, position X, position Y, which I'm gonna use and alter in the draw GUI event. Okay, so in the draw GUI event, you can see me setting color to black, because otherwise if you don't do that, you're gonna get it white. This is the thing with GameMaker Studio 2. And a GMS one, it was black by default. Okay, then again, first I'll start with a statement that will destroy the fade, which is if position Y is equal to the height of a GUI plus 16. 16 is a size of an increment, like the size of the small rectangles that are actually drawing. So if basically this is going to affect the big rectangle that's covering all the screen, it's just descending. So once it gets past the screen, the fade is done. Okay, else we're going to create the fade. So you can see this repeat statement that repeats itself this many times. Right, so I didn't hard code this value. I just put in the height of the screen divided by 16, which is the size of our increments. So this will work with any resolution. Again, I like my code to be kind of easily transferable in between games. So what I've got here in the repeat loop, I'm drawing 2 rectangles. So the first one, they both start on the top left corner. So XY of the first one is 0, 0 and stays there. So they both actually start drawing from that corner, and it's only the bottom right coordinates are changing. So the bottom right coordinates for the first one are position X, position Y. So you can see it's not going to appear at all. And after the repeat loop, the position X is going to increase. So it's going to get wider, 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 wider every step. So this is the rectangle that draws from left to right. Also, once the position X reaches the width of it, it is reset back to 0. So this rectangle will start drawing itself from left to right again, over and over. Okay, and at the same time as the position X is reset, position Y is increased by 16. So position Y, which was 0, is actually moving lower. So as well as drawing from left to right, it starts drawing lower. So it kind of expands as well. And then the second rectangle is 0, 0, so bottom, so top left corner. The width of it, yeah, so it's set to width, so it's always the full width of a screen, and the position Y is the one that's going to make it go descend down, 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 down by every step. You can see this minus 16 here. It's there, so it starts drawing off the screen, right? So we don't want to see it coming in straight away. We want to see the first rectangle. When the fade starts, we want to see the first rectangle draw from left to right before we see this one coming in. So it's drawing off the screen, and then position Y, it's increasing. Okay, so it starts moving down. Again, position Y after every cycle is just increased by 16. That's it. eventually it reaches position wise, reaches the height plus 16, and fade is destroyed. It's quite simple. Okay, let's look at the second fade. This is the Super Mario one. So I've got a create event. I'm setting the GUI size again to be the width and height of a camera. I got two variables, timer and increment. Step event and a draw GUI event. Okay, so this fade works by drawing 4 rectangles, right? They're drawn, they are, how would you say it? They are drawn over top of each other and they all meet in the middle, right? So I'm setting the color to black again. So basically I'm gonna show you here. So the first one is gonna be drawn like that here. The second one is drawn here. The other one is drawn like that, and the fourth one is drawn like that, and they all just gonna move away from each other. Okay, so if we look at the step event, what's happening here, the timer variable is increasing every step. If timer is equal to 3, the increment is changing, timer resets. So basically this is just making increment plus 8 to be executed every 3 frames. Okay, so once the increment reaches the width of a screen, it is destroyed. And here are all the 4 rectangles. Again, I just had to set the coordinates, like the corners that always stay the same are not affected, like these ones 0, 0, or display GUI width. You need to like look at every single rectangle and think logically how it's drawn in its first frame and how it should be drawn in the next frame. So what coordinates change, and you need to stick the variables into those coordinates that are actually changing. So this is what I've done here. So if you want to have a look, just like that. Okay, quite simple. Let's look at the third one, which is the Shovel Knighty one. Again, I'm setting the GUI size. I've got 2 increments, pixel and position. The draw GUI event, what we've got here, again, color set to black. Again, I start with this with a statement that will destroy it if it's true. So if pixel is more than 8, so pixel is kind of the height of our rectangles. Remember in the fade, I'm drawing a lot of them and across the whole screen, and they're like shrinking or expanding. I think in this case here they're expanding. So once the pixel reaches 8, it's destroyed. And how I do it here, I'll show you. So I got a repeat loop, got one draw rectangle here, but it's gonna repeat itself, and after this many times, again, the height divided by 8, which is the size of a rectangle, so it's gonna draw that many rectangles, but we want them to be drawn at a different position. So after each one of them is drawn, we change the position, so we increase it by 8, and then we get position changes. So position is the top y coordinates are affected by position, and bottom y coordinates are affected by position. Okay, plus the bottom right also has the variable pixel, which is going to change. So let's look at this here. So position is changed. So first rectangle is drawn on the top, then it's the second one is drawn a bit lower, 8 pixels lower to be precise, then the next one 8 lower again, and again and again and again. Do you mind? So this is one frame. This code happens in one frame, the repeat statement. So it's going to draw all these rectangles, it's going to calculate all of them, it's going to increase their position, etc., and all in one frame before it actually draws all of them. And once it's drawn them, the pixel variable is going to increase. So right now pixel is set to 0, so that the pixel variable affects the bottom y coordinate. So when it's set to 0, basically nothing is drawn, and as the bottom y coordinate of the rectangle starts moving down, the rectangle actually starts expanding, right? So after all rectangles drawn, I'm increasing that pixel by 0.08. So there's a small equation that explains that number, which I've written here in a comment. So 8 pixels divided by FPS divided by seconds wanted. So like how long you want the fade to be. So you take those 8 pixels, divide by the number of FPS divided by seconds wanted. So when I've calculated mine, I ended up with this number 0.08. Position 0, again, it resets itself to 0 after every frame. Okay, and that's pretty much it. I'm gonna show you the last one again. You can create much more complex fades like using GUI. Like I've made a spiral fade, but I ended up with like almost 500, 800 lines of code, which is kind of impractical. So if you want to create something a bit more complicated, I'll probably use shaders, because this might end up a nightmare. Because when I've done the spiral fade, I had like 8 flag variables, and I was drawing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, actually 8 rectangles, etc. And I just got so confused in the code eventually. Okay, right guys, thank you for watching.